look at the person next to you. Say, God loves me and I love you too. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Now lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together.
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 In the name of love. We come together.
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 In the name of love. In the name of love. Every walk of life. Every creed and color. In kinship we unite. In honor of the God in each other. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, namaste, I bow to you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. Come on, say it. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together. Stand up and clap. Come on. Come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together. In the name of love, we come together.
We come together.
Come together.
We come together.
In the name of love. In the name of love. In the name of love.
Thank you, Kong. That was just awesome. Welcome, everybody, to our service this afternoon. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Valerie Day, and I'm a practitioner here. And in the back, we have amazing Paulette, who is going to bring our candle forward. So we love to, at Namaste, just honor ritual. And so Paulette's bringing our candle forward and going to light it for us. And that's just bringing that light, that energy of light into our space. You all look so beautiful. Look at how pretty you are, and handsome too. Thank you, Paulette. And now it's time to read our affirmation, so join with me in reading our affirmation. I am cause to my own world. As my thoughts are, so is my world. I am the face of spirit releasing itself into form as blessings for myself and for others. And just take a big, deep breath with me and exhale as we move into our invocation. How good it is to just arrive here in this beautiful sanctuary. For those that are streaming right now, we just welcome you into this beautiful sanctuary with us. And for those that might be listening to this at another time, we just know that divine timing is operating in, through, and as each of our lives. So I bless this service. I bless this service knowing that it unfolds with joy and depth and richness, and that Spirit sings through Kong and speaks through Annie, and how blessed we are to have Annie here this day to share her heart, to share her wisdom, to share her unique God essence this day with us. And so I just give thanks for the power and the principle of oneness and wholeness that is operating in, through, and as each one of us. Just recognizing that we are all wholly and uniquely and infinitely connected in that vortex and field of oneness. And so we just rest in thee this day, recognizing the I am, that I am, that I am. Saying, and so it is. So I let it be. Amen. And now I'd like to invite up Sean Mejia, member of our Board of Trustees, and he's going to tell you everything that's happening here at Namaste.
Thank you, Valerie. So welcome. My name is Sean Mejia. I'm the Vice President on the Board of Trustees here at Namaste. And as each week goes and passes, the room gets fuller and fuller, so thank you for joining us live. So at this time, I'm going to invite everyone to read who we are. So let's start together. I honor the place in you which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is love, truth, light, and peace. When you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we recognize we are one. Namaste. And now on into our mission statement, also with me. I learn practical science of mind tools and practice in a loving, connective, and vibrant community to wield my power and to change my life. And how does this work? We awaken to the truth of to a new truth in our lives. We realize how that truth has played out in our lives. We awaken to new knowledge and transform our lives. We repeat this process in new ways in our lives. Our power statements. We are a thriving, dynamic spiritual community. Remember, we are Namaste, and this stuff works. And on to our announcements. So our first announcement for today is check out our website for times of service, links to past talks, and offer information and calendar events. Also, if you're big into social media, please follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Coming up next, our annual meeting will be held on September 19th, right here, right after service. And we will be discussing all things Namaste. So come out. I look forward to a full room. Choir. The SoCal Center for Spiritual Living Choir is currently on pause. We will be discussing options at the September annual meeting. For more information, please email Julie or Marilee. And lastly, for your daily dose of support Monday through Friday, start your week off with prayer, support, and connection. It's every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Try it out and see how your week ends up. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and I see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when I I feel I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, and I hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. Annie Sims on some backup vocals, everybody give it up for her. Sounds great. She learned this about 10 minutes ago. Let's go on that chorus one more time. Sing along if you know it. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
Kong, I'm going to ask you to play one more round of There's Only Love for me, because this is our meditation time. So just play a few more lines as we go into our meditation, please. And I just invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. I am loving awareness. 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 loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am. I am loving. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am. I am loving. I am loving awareness. Thank you for joining me in meditation today. You can take those 4 words with you this week and use them in your meditation. I am loving awareness. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Valerie. I am the center of creation. I am a seed planted in the stillness. I am the center of creation. Fertile ground for the highest thoughts on God. I am the center of creation. I am a tree rooted in forest. I am a center of creation. Fertile ground for the highest thoughts on God. I am the center of creation. I am complete. center of creation. I am complete, living in the wholeness. I am the center of creation. Fertile ground for the highest thoughts on God. Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome Annie Sims up here to speak for us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Man, your music's awesome. Wow! So great. You too. They're both really wonderful. I do see a few familiar faces. I have sung at Namaste more than once. It was way back in the school when Kristen and her sister, who's at Rogue Valley Center for Spiritual, Kimberly Hawkins. I helped Kimberly get that job. I have friends up there. Neil Donna Walsh lives up there. Neil was actually the interim spiritual leader while they were looking for a minister. I'm like, y'all need to know Kimberly Hawkins, and she's up there now. It's great. And then I sang when you all were at downtown, that rented space downtown. So good to see some familiar faces. I've never spoken for you. I actually reached out. I didn't know anybody here anymore. And so I said, could you forward my contact to Kong about singing? And then Rev Bobby wrote back and said, just want to make sure you want me to send this to him? I'm like, that'd be great. I said, and by the way, I do speak about conversations with God if you ever need a Sunday off. And she's like, how about week after next? Yeah, okay. I'm pretty passionate about conversations with God as I'm about music. So she did want me to tell y'all a little bit about my work with Neil and how that whole thing got started. Where can I put this thing? In the garbage. Someday we'll get to throw them away for good, I hope. But for now, I'm grateful to have protection for all of us. Anyway, yeah, I was doing country music. I had 2 albums out and started writing by the time we did the second one. My husband Greg is my producer, and he and I started writing with a friend. And at the end of this country album, I was inspired one night to wake up and write the lyrics to Go Within. There's a line from Conversations with God that says, if you do not go within, you go without. And I wrote a poem. I'm like, this would be a great song. And I handed it to Greg and said, why don't you put this to music? He's a composer for film and TV. And he'd already written a piece of music 2 weeks prior that I had not heard. And I'm telling y'all, like, all we did was change one major to a minor, or one minor to its relative major. I forget what it was, and that was it. Put it on the end of the country album, and unbeknownst to me, my manager sent it to Neil with a letter. And then the phone rang, and he asked me to tour with him. So Greg and I tagged along in 2005 to 8 countries overseas over 5 weeks. You talk about a life-changing experience. And I only had one spiritual song, y'all. So I said to Greg, we better get busy and make up another one. So we did. Anyway, it worked really great, and it was wonderful. We were in Milan. I was just all over the place. It was really great. So anyway, it didn't take long after I got back to the States that I realized I was really missing that in my life. And so I found out that we were living in Orlando, Florida at the time, and y'all weren't centers for spiritual living then. You were Science of Mind churches, whatever you used to call them. The one in Central Florida had actually had Neil come in and speak. I'm like, I got to know about any church that has him in to talk, and that's it. I've been Center for Spiritual Living ever since. So, but went on to work with him. He asked Greg and me to start facilitating his spiritual renewal retreats, and then he asked me to be a Conversations with God life coach, which was pretty cool. And then he asked me to write a whole online school for him. There are 25 core concepts and conversations with God. I always like to know who in the audience has even read one book. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Well, y'all, they're amazing books. They're just, I can't recommend them highly enough. You might want to do what I did. My sister had been begging me to read them since book 1, and I just wasn't interested at the time. And then she thrust book 3 into my hand and said, just pick a page, any page, and my eyes popped out of my head, and that was it. They're amazing books, y'all. So you might want to check them out. So they have these there's a whole cosmology of books. And he gleaned what he calls the 25 core concepts from Conversations with God. That's what he asked me to write the online school about. And he said, I want you to write a lesson on each of the concepts and then create homework. And you'll do the whole thing online inside the program. We'll post your work, your lessons, you give them the assignment, they post inside, and then I go back and give them feedback on their work. And then the last thing he said, of course I was, wow, I love this assignment. The last thing he said before I hung up the phone was, this will someday become a book. And it's kind of like when E.F. Hutton talks, you know, you're like, well, it did. And it was published by the original publisher of Conversations with God. So this came out a couple of years ago. It includes the lessons in the online school and a bunch of supplemental material as well. So what I like to offer when speaking at spiritual centers is just to talk about, throw it out there. Here's these 25 concepts, pick one. So Rev Bobby said, I'm very intrigued by the 3 levels of awareness. So that's what I'm going to talk with you about today. I did not notice what time I started, so maybe a quarter after I should stop. Okay. So the 3 levels of awareness. There's more than one way of looking at awareness. The way that this beautiful mantra that Valerie did is one way. Being aware, being conscious, being awake. These 3 levels are a little different. Conversations with God's 3 levels of awareness really pertain to what our mind holds as its truth about any topic, about any subject. So what these 3 levels are, I will keep you in suspense no more. Hope, belief, and knowing. And I'm just going to read you the passage where this came through to Neil in the voice of God. And that's what these books are. They're dialogues with Neil's questions and the answers he heard in his mind, which he believes are from divinity. So this is the 4th book. There's Conversations with God, books 1, 2, and 3. And this was the 4th book. It's called Friendship with God. And this one is largely autobiographical. I don't know if y'all know, but book 1 has been translated into 37 languages around the world. It was on the New York Times best-selling list for like 2.5 years, major works. And in this book, I think a lot of people were like, who is this guy? And so he talks a lot about, you know, how this came to be and who he is. And then there's a lot of dialogue in it as well. And the 3 levels of awareness appear for the first time in the Conversations with God material in Friendship with God on page 107. And I'll just read you the download that Neil got. There are 3 levels of awareness around everything. These are hope, belief, and knowing. When you have a hope about something, you're wishing that it is true, or you're wishing that it will happen. You are not certain in any sense of the word. When you have a belief about something, you are thinking that it is true or that it will happen. You are not certain, but you think you are certain. And you continue to think so unless something to the contrary appears in your reality. When you have a knowing about something, you are clear that it is true, or you are clear that it will happen. You are certain in every sense of the word, and you continue to be certain even if something to the contrary appears in your reality. You judge not by appearances because you know what is so. Has anyone ever heard of these 3 levels of awareness before? Seen a few heads shaking. Okay. So let's talk about the first level of awareness, hope. Something that we want always begins with hope. I hope I meet the man of my dreams. I hope I can beat this cancer, whatever it is. It begins with hope. And I'd like to invite you all to sort of look back in your lives at something that you hoped might happen but never came to pass. Or maybe something that you hoped was true, only to realize, nah, that wasn't really true for me. So, in probably my biggest experience with residing at the level of hope was when I was spending those 10 years chasing the country music brass ring. It always felt like it was just out of reach. I knew our albums were beautiful, but it's such a long shot, and I was very aware of that. And so I was always just at the level of hope. And this has been a couple of decades ago, so I was just learning about the law of attraction at the time and didn't really understand it. And so we were playing around with things like, my best friend was my graphic designer for my albums, and we were trying really hard to chart on this, it's called Music Row chart. Music Row magazine has like, I don't know, 100 or 120 reporting stations. And so my best friend Laura created a dummy Music Row chart and put my song, 80 Acres of Stars, Annie Sims, at #1. It was up on the refrigerator. I mean, we did a video, and it was on CMT, but it never charted. Maybe it went to 80 with an anchor right back down again. It just didn't happen. And y'all, it's because I was only hoping. I was not believing, much less knowing. And so when we hope for something, it's not a very powerfully creative place to be. Has anybody experienced that before? Yeah, I'm seeing some heads nodding. And so I love what you all said in one of the things up here, this stuff works, because a lot of people would just get to that point when they're just trying to learn about law of attraction, and it's like, I gave it everything I had, this stuff doesn't work. Some people conclude that, but I didn't, because I mean, at this point, I had studied with Neil a lot, but I still was very foggy on it. So that's what hope is. And believe me, hope is not a bad place to be. Beats the heck out of hopelessness. So hope is okay. It's a good thing. It's a good place to start if there's something you want in your life. The next level of awareness, belief. Do we have any Abraham Hicks followers in here besides me? Okay, one thing they say over and over again, a belief is just a thought that you keep thinking over and over. A belief is just a thought that you keep thinking over and over. If I think it long enough and hard enough, maybe it'll really be true. Or if it's something that I'm wanting to manifest in my experience, if I think about it long enough and hard enough, maybe it'll come to pass. And I think blind faith is sometimes based on wanting to believe something you know in your heart isn't true. But you either want it to be true or you think you're supposed to believe it. Does that sound like the way any of us were raised in our religions, indoctrinated? But none of us stayed in there, right? We all kind of kept looking for something else that did feel true inside. And I'm very grateful for my religious upbringing. It was in the Episcopal Church, and it was very, very, very loving. But came a time in my life that I'm like, I cannot stand up and recite the Nicene Creed anymore. It felt inauthentic. So I didn't believe it anymore. But when I read Conversations with God, that very first page, every fiber of my being said, this is what I really think. And that's why it's been such hugely popular, is because everybody says, that's exactly the way I feel, I just couldn't put it into words. Okay, so let's talk about, belief is stronger than hope, and it is more powerfully attractive. But let's talk about knowing. Knowing is the third and highest level of awareness. Maybe you have the deep down feeling that it's already happened in your life, whatever it is you want, and the process is just playing itself out. So a couple of my strongest learning experiences about knowing. The first one was, I used to do piano bars a lot. I'd be on cruise ships and overseas and back to a ship and back overseas, and And I would always just say, what do you want to hear? And I got a lot of requests for the anniversary waltz. And I remember this couple on one of the ships one time, and they were celebrating their 10th anniversary. He said, I want you to play that for my wife and me. And you could tell they were very much in love. And I said, may I ask you something? Because I'd come out of a 7-year relationship. And I'm like, it didn't work. I said, how do you know when you've met the right person? And the two of them just looked at each other and looked back at me and said, you just know. I'm like, not good enough. What does that mean? I don't get that. I didn't get it until I did. With, I'm going to embarrass my sweet husband, 33 and a half years ago. I had that known. Oh, wow. I'll have to remember that applause point. Okay. But I knew. We went out. It was supposed to be a whole group of people going one by one by one. Everybody crapped out on us, so the two of us went anyway. We were both working on board ship. I was doing piano bar. I guess I was youth hostess at the time, and Greg was pianist in the show band. And we had both gone to the University of Tennessee at the same time as music majors. Never knew each other, but we recognized each other on board this ship we both ended up working on. So we went out. Still want to go? Yeah, still want to go. So we still have a picture of our first date in his tuxedo and my gown from the ship. And we talked for 3 hours, and it was like we could have, it's like we knew each other. So we knew. And it was kind of funny too, because when you walked me back to my cabin, this was the funniest thing. So I guess you kissed me goodnight. And I turned to put my key in the lock of the door, and he started walking up the stairs, and I turned around, because I'm like, what the heck just happened? And he turned around. He was halfway up the stairs. He turned around at the same time. We looked at each other. It's like, well, good night. That's the kind of knowingness. Okay. And there was another one that was just amazing. Y'all, I'm so grateful that I'm divinely guided to find places to live that are really, we find the perfect places. We knew after a time that we wanted to go back to Tennessee. We'd been living in Orlando for 17 years, and we were looking for a house in Nashville. And we drove past this place on the third day, and I saw the sign in the yard, and I took one look at that place. And it's like every fiber of my being went, buzzed. That's it, that's it, that's it. Stop, 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 Greg, stop. That's the house. That's it. And so we went around. The woman was, y'all, it was beautiful. It had a pool. It had 3 decks. It was amazing. Went around. She was outside. Oh, I guess we called the owner. He said, go see my wife. She's out at the pool. Go on around. We hit it off with this sweet lady, hung out with her for 2 hours, and bought it on the spot with a handshake deal. And she wouldn't even take a check. I'm like, let me give you some money. No, this house is for you. I know you love it. And so her husband called when we got back to Orlando. And by the way, we did not even put a contingency on selling our Orlando house. It's like, not doing that. That's a weak contract, right? What? Oh my gosh, Greg said, tell you what year it was. Well, it was 2008. So, the gentleman who had been out of town, the husband who co-owned the house, he called me in Orlando, and he said, so you didn't put a contingency of selling your house on this? I said, I know, I don't need it. And he said, what makes you think your house is going to sell? Guess what I said? I know it's going to sell, and I knew. And y'all, we put a sign out. We had an offer the next day, and he wanted me to tell you it was 2008, right before the market crashed. Oh, man, God had our back. We quadrupled the house, quadrupled what we'd paid for it. And we're able to just buy this bigger house in Tennessee. So, but it was that knowing. That's the point. The point is when you know, you know, you know. So I was just going to see if anyone would like to share something that you knew, either a truth or an experience, or wishing or something you wanted to happen and you just knew it was going to come true for you. Can anybody think of something? Yay! Okay, speak loudly so we can hear you. Hallelujah. Thank you for sharing. That is so great. That is so great. Thank you so much. Okay, so the question arises, how can we use our knowledge of these three levels of awareness? Can we consciously raise hope to belief? Can we raise belief to knowing? Greg said, "You're not going to make an example of me while I'm in the room, are you?" I'm like, "Yes, I am." So this desire of being a film and television composer has been with him since before I knew him 33 years ago. On the first date, you told me that's what you wanted to do. But how does a little boy from Upper East Tennessee get to do that? You know, it's not like he was born in Hollywood to a director father or anything. So it started with the hope, but over time, amazing things happened. It moved into belief. Yeah. And I've been on this path with him the whole time. And I think only maybe recently are we at knowing, finally, right? Because it took experience for us to get there. I mean, it takes a lot of faith but there's to really know. I don't know how you can do it without having a little bit of seeing is believing. I'm sure people can, but it's been a challenge for both of us, because he'll get a great gig and then it'll be a long, quiet time, then but it's definitely getting better now. So our challenge is to switch seeing is believing to believing is seeing, right? See it in your mind's eye is already happening. Another thing that Abraham Hicks talks about quite a lot is the 17-second law. If you ponder something with the feeling of the good centered feeling about whatever it is, if you ponder it for 17 seconds, it starts to become active in your vibration. And Greg, we do our own conversations with God, by the way, and Greg asked about that one time, and the answer that he received was it basically creates new neural pathways in the brain, doesn't it? Yeah. And so what I've been hearing Abraham say lately is 68 seconds. That's 17 seconds times 4. So now when there's something, you know, we're like, okay, 68 seconds. And just hold the feeling. It's all about the feeling in here that's creating what you want. So 68 seconds. Okay, so there's one caveat. And I know you know this. Do not be attached to an outcome. If there's something you're wanting to create in your life, don't be attached to an outcome. Love what is now. Like Byron Katie's book, Loving What Is. Love what's showing up for you now. And just be happy now. Conversation with God talks about the be, do, have paradigm. Choose your state of being first. I choose to be happy. I choose to be centered. I choose to be loved. And then everything else is just icing on the cake. That was a Ram Dass meditation, by the way. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. And so it is. Namaste, y'all.
Thank you for that wonderful talk, Annie, and thank you again for singing with me today on the spot. It's very cool. I love you. I'd like to know more of your guys' story, because I'm obviously a musician too, and on that same kind of path. And before we sing, I guess, you know, I suppose that just me being here right now, I think, is that story that she's talking about, where I just woke up one night, or got up out of, you know, in the evening, and I was like, I have to find something back in music in a spiritual way, and I saw this job posting, and I read it, and I was like, holy crap, this is perfect. I'd never seen anything like it, really. And then I applied, and right then and there, like 11 at night, I was like, that's a bad time to send an application. Like, you know. But I sent it. I heard back almost immediately. I had an audition. Ray's here. He was here for the audition. Bobby, and I didn't know when I left necessarily, but there was this feeling in the room where we were just like, oh, this is right. And so I really love that you brought that up today. It reminded me of that feeling. And there's another example right here where Andrew's going to play piano and sing some backups today, and I asked him yesterday. And I knew he would say yes, and he would do a great job. If God had a name, what would it be, and would you call it to his face? If you were faced with him in all his glory, what would you ask if you had just one question? And yeah, God is great. Yeah, God is good. Yeah. What if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. Just a stranger on the bus, trying to make his way home. If God had a face, what would it look like, and would you want to see? If seeing meant that you would have to believe in things like heaven and in Jesus and the saints and all the prophets, and yeah, God is great. Yeah, God is good. Yeah. What if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. Just a stranger on the bus, trying to make his way home. He's trying to make his way home. Back up to heaven all alone. Nobody calling on the telephone, except for the Pope maybe in Rome. And yeah, God is great. Yeah, God is good. Yeah. What if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. Just a stranger on the bus, trying to make his way home. Just trying to make his way home. 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 Just trying to make his way home. Nobody calling on the phone, except for the Pope maybe in Rome. Thank you. Andrew, nicely done, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, namaste.
We're so blessed to have you, Kong. You are awesome. And Andrew, thanks for doing backup. And we are now at our giving time. This is when we get to practice the law of giving and receiving. And so I invite you either to, if you're not somebody that's an auto tither, there's a basket in the middle of the room. If you're online, we make it really easy. You can go to our website and donate through PayPal or Venmo, hit the Give Plus button. You know, I just, if the idea of giving at all triggers you, I invite you to reach out to one of the practitioners or board members, because we live in an infinite universe that sources and supplies all of our needs. And so I really want you to get the benefit of giving from that place of the overflow and the abundance. So if that idea of tithing or somebody asking you to give money gives you a little twitch or a little discomfort, let's talk about it. Because I don't want you to have that discomfort. I want your bank accounts to be full and overflowing so that you can live an amazing, abundant life, which is what you're supposed to be doing. So if you feel fed and nourished by Namaste, by Annie's talk, by Kong's music, by anything, by the community, then allow yourself to give in the way that you receive. And as you give, you will receive. So with that, let us read our affirmation. And where is my affirmation on I gotta put my glasses on, folks. The abundance of all goods surrounds me and operates through me. I accept in faith God's plenty as mine and of Namaste. I accept it with joy and use it with wisdom as the inlet and outlet to all that God is. I affirm this as true, and so it is. And our benediction. And if you want to stand for our benediction, feel free to. Take a big deep breath in. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is all that I am. I share all that we are. I accept it. I am it. I share it with all, just the way it appears and just the way it appears not. Thank you, life. Take it away, Kong.
Stay standing with me and sing along if you know it. We have come together as family. We have come here as we are. Ooh. We have come with arms wide open. We have gathered here in love. All right, sing it. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof with shouts of praise. Spirit's in this place. Feel free to yell and scream and shout. We sing in celebration. We sing with words of prayer. Ooh. We affirm all life as sacred. We declare peace is here. Yeah. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof with shouts of praise. Spirit's in this place. Spirit's in this One more time, here we go. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof with shouts of praise.
Spirits.
Spirit's in this place. Spirit's in this place. Thank you, Namaste. What a beautiful day. Thank you so much, everybody.
Just want to do our thank yous as we're closing out here. First of all, thank you, Annie, for just bringing it for us, and Kong, and Andrew, and Paulette for being our minister support, and for Janine, and Terry, and for Sean, and for Tori for doing our slides, and for Julie and Jackie for welcoming everybody. Have a great week. Namaste. Thanks for joining us.